got about 3 minutes. Two minutes. One minute.
Oh, my people, I want you to understand and know the time. It's time that we are accepted and respected by both man and mankind. You know, the scripture says that God would choose those that are despised and rejected. And we have been that and cast aside. No one wanted us, and no one cared for us. And the worst thing about it, we never cared for ourselves. You don't have life, you don't have love, you don't have God, you are powerless. Because God represents force and power. And the thing that black men don't have in America or in the world is force and power to determine our destiny. Our destiny is determined by others. We are like sheep, as the scripture teaches. And we have not had a good shepherd. in front of us. How do you know that our shepherds have not been good? Because if our shepherds were good, God would be in our life. Life would be in our life. Love would be in our life. Power would be in our life. And therefore, David the psalmist was moved to say, the Lord is my shepherd. Well, if the Lord is our shepherd, then we would never be in the condition that we are in.
The so-called American Negro have to be completely re-educated. He have to be completely made over again. In the condition that he is now in, he's not fit for self, not to think of others. And Islam gives him that qualification that he can feel proud of, that he now can go out in the world and feel that he's the equal of other civilized beings and does not feel ashamed to be called a black man.
He teaches us, the so-called American Negro, is the truth. He teaches us about ourselves. He teaches us about God and the devil. Right. He teaches us many other things, and they're all true. This gives us the desire to do the things that are right. This gives us the desire to be men and to stand upright and to be clean. This gives us a sense of dignity. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has done for us what no other man has done or can do.
قل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
In the name of Allah, Master Fard Muhammad, the one true and living God, to whom praise is due forever, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Peace, family, and welcome back to another episode of WHIDFM. WHIDFM is your personal platform where those of us striving to follow the life-giving and life-saving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, as given to us by his premier pupil, the Honorable Minister Liz Farrakhan, gather right here in this virtual meeting place to answer that most critical question: what has Islam done for me? It is November 6, 2022, Sunday, Season 6, Episode 11. So at this time, we're going to turn it over to that dynamic co-host of WHIDFM, our sister, Janine Muhammad, who is a superstar student here in the Ministry of Muhammad Mosque, number 6, under the leadership of our beloved brother, Student Minister Abdul Salam. Sister Janine.
Assalamu alaikum, family, and thank you again for joining us for another Sunday of WHIDFM. What has Islam done for me? I'm going to introduce our first guest tonight, which is Sister Chandra Muhammad, otherwise known as Shan, the neighborhood cook. She was born in Houston, Texas, and she is the eldest of 2 girls. She has a bachelor degree in journalism with an emphasis in advertising and marketing from the University of North Texas. She is a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She has a 22-year career history in pharmaceutical sales. Although she still works in the industry, She continues to pursue her passion, cooking. She has been a registered believer since 1997. She shares her passion for cooking in the mosque. She is the Mosque 45 culinary team captain and co-creator of the Mosque culinary team. She is the majority owner of Divine Creations Cuisine Catering LLC in Houston, Texas. She has developed a cooking merchandise line, which includes aprons, hats, and t-shirts showcasing the brand. With the help of their youngest son, Ahmad, her first private label seasoning was born. Keep It Creole all-purpose seasoning. Shan, the neighborhood cook, developed her own social media cooking segment during the pandemic called Sharing is Caring. She offers cooking coaching classes, meal prep services, and full service catering. A cookbook is also in the making for her as well. And Brother Patrick has been instrumental in assisting and supporting all of these accomplishments. Together, they invested in their first food truck called DC Pop-Up. With Brother Patrick and the boys, Ahmad and Samad, this new business venture is truly a family affair. And Brother West is going to introduce our other guests tonight. Brother West?
Yes, ma'am. Our next guest is Brother Patrick Muhammad, affectionately known as Daddy Pat, and was born in Beaumont, Texas. Brother Patrick is the seventh of 8 children. He holds a bachelor's degree of administration and corporate finance from the University of North Texas. While at University of North Texas, he played football and became a member of Kappa Alpha PSI fraternity, Inc. Currently, he is an analyst for NASA in Houston, Texas. He has been a registered believer at Mosque 45 for 25 years. He has served as the local secretary for 15 years. He and Sister Chandra met at University of North Texas 33 years ago. They have 2 sons, Samad, 20 years old, and Ahmad, 16 years old. Brother Patrick and Sister Chandra have been together for 33 years and will be celebrating their 30th wedding anniversary next year.
Praise be to Allah. Now I'm going to ask you all our first question of tonight. Now, when we ask our guest questions, we like to start off with just your journey in Islam. So can both of you tell us how you came into the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad? What was that backstory like of when you first heard the teachings and decided, I want to be a part of that mighty nation of Islam? And we can start with Sister Chandra first. Oh, you're on mute. I can get you from me. Oh, I can't hear you, Sister Chandra. I think you all are still on mute.
There we go.
There you
Okay.
go.
You may want to start with me first.
We can do that, yes, but absolutely. We can go ahead and start with you. Go right ahead.
Well, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for the opportunity for us to come and share our testimony and our journey in the cause of Islam.
Yes, sir.
Back when I was a junior in high school, my brother John, which is the oldest of 8, came home from California while he was in the military. Actually, he just got out of the military, saying that he was a Muslim and growing up with a Catholic background. We didn't know. I didn't know what that meant. I mean, I didn't know that God was black. I was okay with God being black. We went to private school all the way from kindergarten to 12th grade. So we was heavily indoctrinated into Catholicism. So mom and dad was Catholic. And so I didn't care. And I was like, I don't care what God or color God is. I mean, I'm cool with it. It doesn't make me a difference. And he had made a statement saying that you're not going to believe it until the Caucasian approves it. And so I was like, yeah, right, whatever. I said, Mama making pork chops today, so I'm about to eat yours. And so my senior year in high school, I was taking a religious class in private school, which was a Catholic school called Monsignor Kelly High. We had a religious class, and so they'll talk about Jesus and stuff like that. And this point of the session of class, they start talking about the color of Jesus. And it was kind of like off topic. And the teacher was named Miss Schneider. She is a Jew. And she taught the class, or Jewish, and say she's Jewish. And she said, I believe whether you believe it or not, that for Jesus to hide in Africa, which is a continent that's predominantly all Black. I'm not saying that Jesus was a Black man, but he had to be the same color, if not darker than Patrick. And I was the darkest one in the room. And everything my brother told me that day started coming back to me. And the students, the Caucasian students, which I thought was my friends, they protested her personal belief. And they tried to get her fired. And from that started my journey. I read Message to the Black Man, went to college, knew I was going to become a Muslim. There where I met my beautiful wife. And so I knew once I graduated from high school, that's what I wanted to do, because I felt and believed that this was something that was good, not just for all people, but especially for Black people, being amongst Caucasians, seeing how they move, operate, have the lack of struggle that we will see. They all have their best foot forward, and you go to these houses at 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 square feet, got horses in the backyard, driving the finest vehicles. And I'm like, well, Islam give us that opportunity, but more so give us the knowledge of self. And so with that being the case, that's when we decided, after we got married, we moved back to Houston. Took a minute for us to get registered, for me to get registered. Got registered in 97, and the day I stood up, my beautiful wife stood up. And so that's the journey. A little bit more to go with that, but I'll stop there and let her join in on that.
Praise be to Allah. So Chandra, can you tell us how your journey began?
Yes, ma'am. So my story is not as probably interesting as his. However, like he said, we joined the same year. I did stand up the same time he did. And it's a very funny story. By the way, Assalamu alaikum family. You know, he thought that I was just standing up just for him. You know, he thought that, oh, she's standing up because I'm standing up, you know. You don't have, you know, and basically when we got home, you know, he was, you know, like, you don't have to do this because I'm doing this. You know, I
didn't still pick up a book. Okay. All right. I didn't still pick up a book. So that's why I said what I said. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anyway. So anybody that knows me prior to me meeting Patrick knows that I am a very decisive person. I don't wiggle. When I make a decision, I make a decision. And that day I heard truth, and I literally stood up that day for truth. And whether or not it came through my husband, Patrick, or somebody on the street, had they brought me to the mosque that day and I heard those same words from the minister, then I would have stood up then. And so very much like Patrick, I was born and raised in Catholicism. Our families are from Louisiana, so you'll probably see that on our social media pages. We talk about Louisiana and our family being of Creole descent. You know, most of our family is Catholic, but, you know, growing up, everything that I went through was all ritual. I never knew why I was doing the things that I did. I don't have any idea why they made me eat those little pieces of bread at church. I had no idea why they had me drinking wine in the church. I didn't know any of those reasons why I was doing that.
They said it was the body of Christ. So I'm like, okay, what I'm supposed to do. Okay.
I mean, you know, I just did it because my parents made me. My parents took me. They, you know, they said, hey, this is what we do. You don't question God. You just do what they say do. And so when I came into Islam, you know, that was not the case. It was, this is what we do. This is why. And here are the benefits that you can see if you follow through and you believe, right? And so that is what I came to respect about Islam, specifically the Nation of Islam. Now, what's funny about this story, again, is I did come in with my husband. However, I actually was introduced to Islam before my husband. In high school, my friend, who's also a Muslim here in Houston and who grew up in Mosque 45, Sister Chandra Muhammad, shout out to Sister Sonia and Sonia Granola. I actually went to school with her here in Houston, and she was a Muslim. She grew up as a Muslim, and her and I were almost best friends. And I never knew that she was in the Nation of Islam, but I knew she was different. And her and I connected on many levels. We worked together. I mean, we did everything together. And so I knew she always would come, to school with her head covered. She was always fully dressed. I always, honestly, and be quiet, don't even interrupt here. I really tried to be like her, honestly. So I was introduced to it early, not knowing that this day, 25, almost 26 years later, that we would be registered Muslims in the Nation of Islam. And, her and I are still good friends. We're both kind of doing our own thing, but we are still always here for each other. So, I mean, that was my story coming into the nation. Like anyone else, it was a struggle in the beginning, coming from Catholicism, coming from the world that I came from. Like today, it's always a struggle. Everybody has their own struggles, and they're always striving to be perfect in any religion, right? In Islam and Christianity and Judaism, it's a struggle to be right, and it's a struggle to try to be one with God. So, hopefully, people can relate to our stories.
Praise be to Allah. Now, and before I go to my next question, I know I'm off camera. Technology is not being my
friend.
That's okay. So I apologize. But
you can be off camera, but damn, we had to turn our camera off. Feel like you're on the spotlight.
Now, you actually was leading me into my next question, because, when you first say your Shahada, you believe that, you want to be in a Nation of Islam, that's really the first step. But the next step is really change. So it's a lifestyle change, right? It's really changing your whole life, the way you eat, the way you carry yourself, the way you dress. So can you tell us about that journey? Was it easy for you to say, okay, this is the discipline I gotta have, I'm gonna do it, there's no if and bones? That you have struggle? Like, how did you make that transition? A lot of people want to know.
she first.
Yeah, yes, sir, absolutely.
I went on the first question.
Okay, all right. So as I said earlier, it's still a struggle, sis. I laugh because it's funny, and I will share this. Brother Donald said, Sister Chandra, can you send me a picture with your head covered? Hence, and therein lies the problem, right, with the struggle. So I will say that for the most part, I really was able to fall into Islam very easily. The way my parents raised my sister and I was very much like Islam. They really trained us well as women. I knew the 7 units before I was introduced to the 7 units through my mother and my father. And by the way, my mother is also in the Nation of Islam. She converted from Catholicism to Islam. Mm-hmm. So, she too saw what we saw. Me and my sister. My sister is also a Muslim. And so, I think that, again, the struggles are still there. We didn't have very many problems with the eating, of course, which is what we do. My parents, were cooks. Both of them are from Louisiana. My mother, she made us eat right growing up. We had to eat our broccoli. We had to eat our asparagus and Brother West listened to that. Our Brussels sprouts at 8 years old. She was making us eat beets, and things like that when we were young. And as young women, it was always about health in our home. Now, my father, he is a great cook. A lot of my cooking I learned from my father as well. However, he doesn't make as many vegetables as my mom does, but they both were great cooks. And so falling in line with how to eat to live was probably easier than most, when you come into the nation. Of course, we all have our few little things. Giving up pork was not really an issue. My father had been a heart patient for a while, so my mom never really cooked pork. So that wasn't an issue. Now, shrimp, crawfish, all of that good stuff from Louisiana.
Creole food.
Yeah, that was a little struggle in the beginning, but once you give it up, it's done, it's over, it's gone. So, but yeah, no, it wasn't really an issue or problem at all. The thing that probably is the struggle for me, obviously, is, I have to, and I think it's just because I wear so many hats, including the headpiece. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I forget. I never forget I'm a Muslim. You can never forget that, but you forget, or either you don't think about it when you're doing other things. So I am normally in a chef hat. I'm normally in the baseball cap in my kitchen, the baseball cap on the truck. And so, obviously when I put on the headpiece, I feel secure and protected. But that's very rare because I'm always in the kitchen. So, but yeah, that's my story there.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Brother Patrick, can you say it was hard for you? Was it easy for you getting the discipline together or striving to get our discipline together?
Actually, no, it wasn't hard because I'll say this: being an athlete in high school, I mean, playing sports, we always had challenge. I have struggled. So I'm one of eight. So I have seven. So it's seven boys, one girl. So being second to the youngest, I mean, having older brothers picking on you, teasing you, the neighborhood teasing you. It was always a struggle. I mean, I have some pearly whites right now, but it wasn't pearly white when I was growing up, and I was bucked with a gap and all that, and so I got teased by that. But it was always a struggle, even even in sports. I mean, there was always competition. There's always you have to be the best. You have to strive to be the best. You have. I mean, we went to private school, and we literally would get teased in the neighborhood for going to private school. So everybody in the neighborhood went to the public school. So we have to show that we was just as good as them as football, baseball, basketball, whatever sport we did, whatever competition we had to show that it was better than them, even though we went to a private school. And because of that, I think that gave us the drive and the zeal to compete and be the best. And so when coming into the teachings, the benefits of the teaching is to acquaint us with to identify our divine potential, to bring us to what we're actually born to be. And to be there, there's a process. And so to attain that or to get on that journey, these are some things that you have to do. And so I have always looked at these teachings as a benefit, not a restriction. Not as oh you can't do this or you can't do that. I have always looked at the teaching that this is helping me to be the best version of myself. So I never ever see the teaching as being negative. And so it's really dealing with the perception. We do what we do because there's a benefit to it. And if we don't see Islam as a benefit, then we're going to struggle. I saw it was good for Black people, that it actually put us in the best of life. It put us where we're supposed to be, understanding that that is our birthright. And so I just see the benefit. Now, what we have, what we believe in, is the unadulterated truth. It is our job to line ourselves up with that truth and master this knowledge, to apply it to our everyday life, where that now we embody the book, we embody the wisdom, we embody the knowledge. And that tend to be a struggle growing up or being born in sin and shaped in iniquity. It's hard to see that because you see everybody else doing something different and they're having fun. And I don't consider that being fun if you're poisoning yourself. So it's all about perception. So with that being the case, it really wasn't hard, and especially coming in with my wife. She and I got on the program, and for I think the first 3 or 4 months, we probably dropped like 20 pounds, 20, 30 pounds. I was 215, 217 pounds. And after I joined, 6 months later, I was down to 174 pounds.
Wow.
Because of the benefits, whatever. And normally, last time they say, well, the brothers would go in and we just dive deep in which I like the challenge and I like the result. And when I realized the benefits of Islam early on, that we went to one of my best friend's wedding, and we was in the wedding, and everybody came to us and asked us what we was doing.
Wow.
Because we looked so good, we looked so different. People were just coming up to us and talking to us and happy to see us. And I mean, it was like we was rock stars.
Wow.
So it's actually still that way.
But so I see the benefits. And so I don't see no downswing with this.
That's right. That's right. Praise be to the Lord. Wonderful, man. That's wonderful. Now, I mean, you lead me to all of my questions tonight. So
I'm gonna roll right on through this.
yes. Next question before I go to our brother Wes. We're taught that Islam is a life-giving, life-saving teachings. Can you tell us how it saved your life? And either one can start first.
Whew, that's a heavy one. You know, the name of your show is What Has Islam Done for Me, right? And I always want to put lately on there, you know, not to be
Right.
talking about Janet Jackson, but you always want to talk about the here and now, right?
Right. Absolutely.
But I think that, you know, the real question is, what has Islam not done for me lately? It has, I mean, being a Muslim and just being in Islam, especially during these times, just really, we would not have survived the pandemic not being a Muslim. I'm going to just say that. The pandemic allowed us to grow. It allowed us to be patient. And we're still struggling. I'm still struggling. My husband tells me all the time, be patient, be patient. But from where I was to where I am today, I should get an Academy Award. Because, you know, I was not that person 10 years ago, even in Islam. We've been in Islam 25 years, right? So, you know, 20 years ago, I was not that person. So Islam allows me to grow faster than anyone else would be able to grow in any situation, right? Like I said earlier, the patience that I've really just not mastered, but every day I'm up that ladder, getting better and better, to be able to endure, you know, and to be able to balance. It's so funny. We had a situation just today, a few hours ago, where I probably would have lost it. Something happened where I really kind of figured out how we can balance this, right? Because I really want to be and am a woman of my word. And so something happened where I said, honey, we're going to have to split this up. You're going to have to go here. I'm going to have to be here on this interview, you know, whereas 20 years ago, I'd have been like, we're not doing it. I'm going to take care of something. This, our son is doing something. I'm going to take care of him. But Islam allowed me to figure out a way to be able to do both, you know. And so for me, my husband is the deeper one, as you can see. However, I'm just more of a, I don't want to say a realist, but I have to come from the heart. And for me, that's what it is. It allowed me the endurance, the patience, you know, just being able to know that I have something to fall back on. And that's Islam, the Quran, you know, how to eat to live, all the believers, our friends and families who are believers. If I ever should get into a situation where I feel like there's no end. And we have been put into some situations in the last couple of years. And again, like I said, if it wasn't for Islam, I think that we wouldn't be and have the success that we have right now.
That's right. All praise is due to Allah. What about you, Brother Patrick?
It's like counting the stars in our universe. That's the benefit.
Praise be to Allah. Wonderful, wonderful.
It allowed me to see why and understand the why. Why are we here at this dispensation of time? Why are things happening the way they happen? We have that knowledge. We have that understanding. And if we use it properly, we have the wisdom to use it so that we can be the beacon of light. I love what Islam allowed me to be in arenas and have conversation with different walks of life and stand on truth and not be ashamed of it. We have the answer to everything. It sets a standard that I'm striving to live up to, but I'm on the path. Can it be a struggle? Yes, but struggle is ordained as we are taught.
Right.
And it's an uphill road. So, but I understand the struggle, and I know that it's necessary because our greatness is in the struggle, the journey, not the end result. That's the reward. But the success is going through the journey, understanding that it is necessary. Everything that we do in life is a struggle. But a lot of times, because people in this society, they don't care about spirituality. They care about money. They care about fame. They don't care about being the best version of themselves that would be pleasing to God. And so striving to be a spiritual person, which allow me to see who I am, then I can speak to anyone. When you have a solution to everybody's problem, they tend to call me the counselor. And I mean, for example, I mean, we have a friend of the family, I mean, family member, which is her cousin, Sherry. When her father passed, she asked me to be, can I call you Daddy Pat? Because her dad wasn't here, knowing that I'm a Muslim.
Wow.
And she a Christian, she's Catholic. Knowing that growing up, well, let's say this. Being married to my wife, when I came in, I was the darkest one in the room. Being amongst her family, I'm the darkest one in the room. It seemed like if you were darker than a brown paper bag, you didn't belong there. All right. So when I came into her family, they're like, who was this guy? Now, mind you, now I'm 6'4", okay? So I'm towering over everybody, and I'm dark. So, and I'm like, well, I don't eat this. I don't do this. I don't do. Even when I was in college, I stopped eating pork in high school. Wow. Once Miss Schneider confirmed to me everything my brother said was true, unfortunately, what he said was right. It was right. And because of that changed my life. That now I started making more conscious decisions. I didn't, even though I pledged fraternity, played football, I didn't wild out like most of the people that I knew. I mean, growing up, I'm a mama's boy at the end of the day. I mean, out of all of us, I'm not the baby, but I'm the mama's boy. Because I always tried to please my mother. So I always looked at women a certain way and respected them, because I'm like, hey, this could be my mother and my child. This could be, so I never really disrespected women. And so, but to be able to be amongst her family, which is a lot of women, majority of the people in her family are women. And they was like, this guy he don't eat pork. I mean, he think he's too good. He's this and that, whatever. And I was like, no, it's just that I choose to make healthy decisions. I mean, I choose. Right. And so by standing on truth, regardless of what they were doing, I never judged them. I never made them feel bad because they didn't believe the way I believe. They didn't do the things I did. Whatever you do, that's on you. I'm okay. I'm good in the skin I'm in, because Islam has given me security. It has given me the confidence that I can stand on truth regardless of the circumstances. And a lot of times we live in a society that you can't stand on truth. That's right. Because truth offends people, because people want to do what they want to do. That's and right. They don't want to be held accountable, and they don't want to be responsible for the action. So they're saying that some people say, well, you got to die someday. I mean, you got to die of something. I said, well, if you got to die of something, when that day comes, don't go to the hospital, don't go see the doctor. See, people want to do what they want to do and want to justify, but when that time comes, they're not ready to go. And so by understanding that and knowing that, I'm like, there's nothing that you can say to get me not to be a Muslim. There's one ex-coworker I used to work with, they said that, have you ever thought about going back to being Christian? I said, why? I said, what's the benefit? I said, if you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm on the wrong path, please show me my error. Prove to me that I am wrong in what I'm doing. And if you can, I would denounce what I believe and I'll go back to church. And I'm still waiting today. That's right. That's right. Praise be to Allah. Wonderful, man. That is amazing. And I believe Brother West has some questions for you all, Brother West.
Yes, ma'am.
Fire away, young man.
Yes, sir. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Praise be to Allah. It's great to have you all on. And Sister Chandra, I know earlier you mentioned that your father cooked a lot of meals and your mother cooked a lot of vegetables, but can you share that moment when you realized that cooking was really your passion?
And it's interesting you say that. We do have a lot of girls in our family, mostly women. I think the younger generation, a lot of boys came along and they're also as tall as my husband now, but most of the time we're all in the kitchen with a bunch of girls. However, my father, all of his brothers, my mother had 3 brothers, and we were all very close to our uncles who also are great cooks. And I don't know if people know this, but the best cooks and chefs in the world are men, not women. People think it's women, but it's not women. Well, they're not women chefs. They are some great chefs, but the best cooks and chefs in the world are typically men. And so a lot of what I learned came from my uncles and my father. And one day I was 6 years old, and we used to go to Louisiana every summer and just, hung out at my grandmother's house. Both my grandmothers are Creole and live in Louisiana, live in different parts of Louisiana, but not too far from one another. So we would go to my dad's family, then we'd go to my mom's family. And every time we would go to my mom's family, my uncles on my mother's side would make me cook them breakfast. And I was 6 years old. And they would say, oh, yeah, Sean, go in there and make us some breakfast real quick before you go out and ride your bike. I was kind of a tomboy when I was growing up. So I would go ride a bike and skate and all of that. And I didn't really not like cooking, but I didn't really cook until they made me. And they would pull up a little stool up against my grandmother's stove. And they would get the eggs out, and they would get at the time they were, doing grits. They would have grits out there. I never cooked bacon for them though. That's a funny story because I never cooked any type of pork for them, but it was always, they loved eggs. They loved grits. I even learned how to make homemade biscuits at the age of 6. I didn't start doing that again until recently, but I did learn how to make homemade biscuits at the age of 6, my grandmother's recipe. And that moment, and I had to think back when I'm writing my cookbook. And so when I start thinking back of the journey from when I really started cooking, it was at that moment, I think, that I realized I really love to do this. And so every time I would go to Louisiana in the summer, I would cook breakfast for my uncles. They would call all their friends over, and then I was cooking breakfast for all of them. And so I think that was the time when I really said, you know what, I really, really enjoy doing this.
And I like to add on to what she's saying is that just
Yes, sir.
seeing her, meeting her in college, she was the college cook. Everybody will come over to the apartment and eat. They'll bring the food, she'll cook it. Mm-hmm. So whenever there was a gathering in college, or even now, I mean, people even ask, okay, are you all cooking? Or you got anything at the house to eat? Yeah. Because that is truly her passion, is cooking. She can cook all day as long as she don't have to wash dishes. Yeah. That's what they're saying. And so when you see somebody passion, is that they're doing it and they're not begrudgingly. And so, and I would say this, what really impressed me with her is that one night I was doing security, and we was out late doing security, and I got home. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and she woke up and asked me, did I eat? And I said no. And she said, do you want me to make you something? This is 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm just gonna go to bed. But that right there just showed me the level of respect she has from me, her attentiveness, her awareness, but the love of cooking, that she would get up and cook something at 3 o'clock in the morning. So.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Cooking is actually if I'm in a space where I'm not feeling well, if I'm not in a great headspace, some people may, now also back in the day, not now because my knees are bad, but I was a runner as well. I would either do 2 things if I was just not having a good day. And that was either go run or cook. So sometimes, even now, if I'm cooking a bunch, if I'm not cooking for someone else, they're like, Mom, are you okay? Did you have a good day? Like, what's going on? Because you're cooking a lot of food right now. So yeah, that's my, how some people may, unfortunately
That's
We have
her
to help
zen.
out. Yes, that's
the
my
zen.
zen. They'll do something else to kind of get their mind off things.
People meditate, she cook.
Yeah, that's what cooking does for me.
Well, it's always good to have something positive that you can release your energy.
Absolutely.
And before I move on to my next question, we have a question in the chat from our host, Brother Donald, and he's asking, why do you wonder why men are the best cooks? And if you know why men are the best cooks.
So that's a great question. We actually, well, so and I've done a little research on this because I'm actually about to put out a show on my Sharing is Caring show that actually speaks to male versus females in cooking. And so the research that I'm doing with that really speaks to I guess the detail that men, I guess they're more detail oriented, really, when it comes to cooking, right? So when you think about cooking, it is an art, right? They like to say that baking is really a science because of the measurements and, you know, how you have to do things. But cooking is really an art. You can cook anything and make it your own. But I believe that, and not just believe, in the research that I'm doing currently, men just take a little bit more time, just like you do with a lot of things, in doing what they do in the kitchen, right? Even my husband is a great cook. All right, he doesn't cook, but he's a great cook.
Why cook when you don't have to?
He doesn't have to cook. I cook all the time, but he is a great cook. And when he cooks, it's like masterful, right? Everything is in order. You know, men are not afraid to try things. Men are naturally you know, creative when it comes to the kitchen. You know, they're like, hey, how does this taste? How does, you know,
We like to experiment a little bit more in the kitchen.
Exactly. You like to experiment. And I think men are more of a risk taker in that regard. And what's funny about that is people who know me and my cooking, I have a little bit of those skills that you would say a man has in the kitchen. I'm very creative. I take risks in the kitchen. You know,
she get mad at me sometime when I suggest a little.
Oh goodness.
A little. Now let's try it like this, and you're like, it's fine just the way it is.
You know, you don't like to try to take over everything.
Right.
Anyway.
No, it's not taking over. It's just looking at things from
a different perspective. And I think men, you have different perspectives. And, you know, of course, men are most of the time, I'm not saying this about all women, but a lot of times men are more detail-oriented, cultured, more experienced in certain areas. So, you know, I'm not always with my husband, although women are too, but men are in a different light. Like he said, you come with a different perspective. So those are the reasons why I feel like men, and I've also seen the research in where it talks about, I think the number was 78% of chefs are men. You know, they're James Beard winners, which are, you know, in the culinary world, that's huge rather. So those are some of the reasons why. It'll be fun. Y'all look for that series when we start.
Yes, the
men versus women in the kitchen.
Right. You know, you might have to sprinkle a little bit of salt sometimes.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Blasphemy, son. Keep it Creole season.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
That's what you
right. And my next question for you all is there a family or neighborhood favorite that you prepare? And if so, what is it?
A neighborhood, I'm sorry, say one more time.
Is it like a special dish that you prepare for your family, you know, that's like really finger licking good? And if so, what is it?
Oh, so what, you want to tell them what yours is?
Well, it's not just, I mean, everything she cooks is good. But I would say this, not saying it's my favorite, I think it's everybody's favorite. And it's on our food truck. Salmon pasta and a spinach dip. People have told us, especially her, that if you're going to have anything on your food trailer, make sure those two items. Those are the top two favorite that anybody eat those two things, they fall in love. So I'm speaking on just the reaction on other people, and then both are good. make no bones about it. But when you got somebody cook so well as she does, everything is good. So it doesn't have favorite. I mean, everything's good. I mean, there's a lot of brothers of mine ask me why I'm not 300 pounds. Say it's like, I had a wife that cooked like you. I eating one meal a day that won't happen. You know what I mean? And then when she cooked for her clients, I mean, if you all could just see the energy and see what she does when she's cooking for 10 people, 10 people, and you're cooking anywhere from 70 to 100 meals. Even though they may be the same and the variations, different ones, but and to see somebody doing that that's passion. Because a lot of times people see cooking as a labor because you got to pay attention to detail. You got to be patient with what's in the oven. You can't rush it. And so a lot of times in this society, since we're so busy, we're trying to accomplish everything, people don't want to have time. They don't have time. They don't have patience. So cooking is a struggle for a lot of people because it takes time. So.
Yeah, we have a slogan. And actually my social media project manager came up with this, and he's like, you know what, Chandra, you make meals that save lives, save time, save lives. Because even though, we talked about pasta, and yes, of course, it's not recommended that we eat pasta. This is not something we do all the time. When we have events and we have the food truck out, people, they don't eat pasta all the time. But when they want to have a treat and DC pop-up is popping up somewhere, that is the dish that everyone gets, And so I just think that, those two items are really what started it all. That's how I got my name, the college cook, in college. That was the dish that we made in college. Everybody else was eating ramen noodles in college. Brother West, you're young, so you don't know about that yet. But if you go to college, they're going to try to give you ramen noodles. We were eating blackened salmon Creole pasta from the college cook. So that was the meal that we were eating. So we were eating good in college. We were eating really good.
Yes, ma'am. That sounds great. And my next one for you is, can you describe the brotherhood and sisterhood and fraternities and sororities and how it relates to the FOI and MGT?
Being in a fraternity, it's about brotherhood, and it's a bond for men as sororities for sisters to come together as a group, because normally when you look at a predominantly white institution, the population of Black culture or Black people is normally 5% or less. So you have to create an environment where we can come together. And through organization, majority of the fraternities and sororities are based on community service. Doing something in the community to uplift and be an example to inspire the community to be better than to better their condition and be better than who they are. So with that being the case, when you look at it, anything that dealing with brotherhood and sisterhood, that's what the nation is about. You want for your brother what you want for yourself. We have a bean soup, half of it's your brother or your sister. And so at the end of the day, it's the brotherhood and sisterhood, because that's where our strength is. Our strength is in our unity. Like the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, that our unity is like an atomic bomb. So when you dealing with unity, when you look at all the organizations, Black organizations, unity is at the base. But a lot of times we get distracted because we start looking at the I in unity. Because we're looking what I can achieve, what I can benefit instead of the whole. But the I is part of the whole. And sometimes we get sidetracked because I may bring a little bit more, this person may bring a little bit more, and therefore people start having selfish and hidden motives that they come in the name of the brotherhood and sisterhood, but they're really coming for themselves. And so, but with the brotherhood that we have in the nation, unity is our strength. And right now we live in a world that they're trying to break our unity. They're trying to put the man and the woman against each other. They're trying to break the household up so that we don't have any strength. Because if my neighbor is my brother, then I should come to his aid, regardless of blood. And so there's a saying I had an uncle on my mother's side, my mother's brother. His name was Herman Gallion, called him Junior Boy. And he always say his blood is thicker than mud. And that is true. But when it comes to spirituality, that's thicker than blood. And so, and we need to connect on more of a spiritual base, because that's where our strength and our power lies. The power of us lies in the unseen. And the physical represents that. And so our unity is where it's at, and the fraternities and sororities lines up with that.
Yes, sir. And Sister Chandra.
Very much ditto what Brother Patrick said. The only thing I will add to that is, because I grew up in a family of almost all girls, joining a fraternity, joining a sorority was not a surprise for me. I didn't go to college looking for that. With my personality and all the things I was doing in college, I kind of was drawn to other women who were like me. And I found that in Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And so it's funny because my sister is actually opposite. She's a Delta. So she's a member of Delta Sigma Theta. So we're about 4 years apart. Yeah, right at 4 years apart. And although we have a lot in common, we are different. And so that wasn't surprising to everyone too, that we pledged two different sororities. But to really answer your question, I think Brother Patrick did a great job in answering that. And like I said, for me, it was a natural bond to go into an organization where there were women, because again, I love the energy of women. I believe, like he said, the unity there is, it's really second to none. I mean, if you have, and in this day and age, it's hard to find a woman that is truly your friend, because you're pulled so many different ways. And sometimes we forget that we're on the same side, right? And so when you're in an organization like Alpha Kappa Alpha, or any of the sororities, what they call the Divine Nine, specifically the Black sororities and fraternities, we know that we always have a friend, because we have that bond with the fraternities and sorority members, our brothers and sisters. And of course, we have that bond with the MGT and the FOI. But I will say that there is no bond like the MGT. Of course, even if, and the brotherhood, I cook every weekend on Saturday, Sundays. That's our busiest time is during the weekend, especially now that we have the truck. And I just feel I literally start to shake when I haven't been to class. Like, I have to make sure that I'm not booking every weekend so that I can get to my class. Because what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us in the MGT, and now what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has shared with the brothers, whatever that was, I'm sure it's going to be for the better for all of us and the whole of the family. So I just wanted to add that and say that, yes, we are in the fraternities. We are, active in our fraternities and sororities. It is a networking thing. We invite them, our sisters and brothers to mosque and vice versa. I mean, they're very respectful of our beliefs. And so we were supposed to be at homecoming this weekend in Denton, Texas, the University of North Texas. And that's where we all go and have a great time with our sorority and fraternity brothers. But they missed us, but they know we got a lot going on right now. So, but it's we wouldn't trade it for the world.
And let me add, before you go on to the next question, Brother West, is that being a Muslim and us being married 29 years going on 30 years, we are truly an example for the friends that we have met during college. Because the majority of them that got married are divorced now. So everybody say that we're inspiration. Everybody know we're Muslims. And no one that we know that we went to school with are ashamed to say they were Muslim or upset that we're Muslims. None of them. Matter of fact, they can't wait to see us because we don't judge. We don't make them feel, oh, well, you're a lost find. You don't have to teach in the most Chandra Muhammad. You don't fast. You're a pork eater and you this and you're that. There's no judgment. And they see that and we're just genuine with them. And like early on with her family, when they realized that I was who I was or who I am, and they saw that I treat her and saw that she is happy, then all of a sudden her family started making concessions for her. Well, this is for Patrick. Patrick doesn't eat this. This is his food. He doesn't eat this. And you know what I mean? And her late aunt Judy called me the chosen one of the husbands of the I guess the girls, the younger. I was a chosen one, knowing that I'm a Muslim. So it's how we represent the teachings. And a lot of times that we want people to think and believe the way we think and we believe. And we want to force people to believe. Our action will convert people, will make them want to learn. I have a frat brother. His family went overseas. He come back to work. His wife worked overseas, got a job over there 3 years. But he come back every other month to work because he's a fireman. Well, he stayed at our house for like 3 months, 4 months before his apartment. And he comes over to the house. I'm like, man, you don't have any meat. You don't have this. You don't have that. He's like, no, we don't do this. And he's like, man, breakfast not right without pork and this or whatever. But then his blood pressure is normal. And now he's eating stuff that he's not eating. And you know what I mean? He want to come over and ask what's cooked. And you know what I mean? And all of a sudden he said, man, I'm gonna have to go to the mosque, man. Man, can you tell one of my sons to go to the mosque? Can you talk to him for me, man? Because I like what you all do. And you know what I mean? But I never asked him, do you want to go to the mosque? I never asked him to read something, but just our interaction makes him want to know and learn more and experience what I'm experiencing.
Yes, sir. Great. And Brother Patrick, my next question is directed to you. Your bio mentioned that you are an analyst at NASA. So can you explain the difference between astronomy and astrology and why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted believers to study only astronomy?
Well, I'm an analyst, not from an engineering aspect. I'm an analyst based on numbers. I deal more with the numbers as far as I work with the project managers more so than the scientists, as far as making sure that we cover the expense, the cost of building what they're building, where as it relates to the suits, the vehicles. I work in a division called EV, which is the engineering vehicles, aviation. And so it's the vehicles and all the stuff that goes on the ship, the spaceship. But I've only been a little bit over a year, about a year and a half now. And so with that being the case, our history lies in the stars. It's a bear witness of who we are. But astrology is more of a belief or these type of people, or like somebody can tell you who you're supposed to be tomorrow, what you're gonna do tomorrow. And so what it does is it's kind of like a pipe dream. It's a fairy tale. I mean, the Islam is written in truth, and science and mathematics is part of truth. And so everything that is happening in the universe is based on science. And people want to separate science and spirituality and religion. They want to separate, saying that, well, it's too harsh, it's too straightforward. And when we come to God, you can't confine God into a box. You can't confine God into a human being. He's everything. Well, then why have a physical world? If he's spiritual and only spiritual, why have a physical world? You know what I mean? The only way you can recognize the spirit is with the physical. The only way you can have the physical is because of the spiritual, because that's where the spirit is, where the power lies. The body that we have is just a conduit to display, to express the energy. All right. So spirit is energy with a consciousness. It wants to be more than what it is. And the body that the energy can be the most powerful in, the conduit is in the Black man and woman. It's unlimited, no boundaries, no restrictions. The only limit, boundary, restriction you have is what you place on yourself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And before I move on to my next question, I will move into the station ID. You are listening to WHID-FM. What has Islam done for me? May Allah continue to bless you, and thanks for doing so. It humbles us since we know you could have chosen many other ways to spend your valuable time, and without you, there is no WHID-FM. If you have any suggestions, or please email us at WHID1919@gmail.com. Also, please subscribe to WHID-FM on YouTube. We will return at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, inshallah, and our guests will be brothers David and Chandra Muhammad. And my next question is directed to you, Sister Chandra, and this is going back to the cooking a little bit. So I love a great bean soup and lentil soup. So can you share recipes or tips for preparing these staple dishes or other meals?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad you asked that question, because people think, that's obviously as a Muslim, we're a little arrogant sometimes. They say, what's your favorite meal? What's the number one meal? And you say bean soup. And there is a way on the food truck that we are getting beans, navy beans, to the community. And we make our own navy bean patty in a burger. And so that is a way, and I wanted to share that before I go into the bean soup, because we are here to go into the community and change the lives of those in the community with how to eat to live, right, as best we could. And so there are ways we can do that where we can kind of still keep what the community likes to eat and sort of incorporate what we know is good and healthy for our bodies into what they like to eat, right? And so everybody loves burgers. So we do that, and we have that navy bean burger on our truck. And so obviously with the navy bean soup, I usually do that with the culinary team on Sundays at the mosque. And everybody absolutely loves my navy bean soup. And it is very, very simple. And it's funny that you're asking me, Brother West, because the Elevated Places here in Houston, I think it was last year or maybe the year before, we did, as you'll see on my website, I like to do cooking coaching classes, specifically with children and young adults. And we did an actual cooking class with the classes at the Elevated Place. I think it was one class, I forget the age group, but it was maybe about 12 or 13 children on the class. We did it through Zoom, and we all made bean soup together. And so for the navy bean soup, very simple. Obviously, you want to wash your navy beans. I usually cook a pound at a time. And a pound of soup, usually depending on how many in your family and how much bean soup they eat, we usually feed about 4 to 6 people, a 12-ounce bowl, right? That's 1 pound. And so you just wash your beans. My grandmother used to teach me, you always wash things 3 times, at least 3 times. We all know the significance of numbers, but she always said 3 times. So that's how much I wash my beans. I wash it 3 times, make sure all of the dirt and everything is off of it, right? And so when your water is clear, I add just a pinch of baking soda to my beans. I soak them overnight with a pinch of baking soda overnight. The next day, okay, I drain those beans to take all of that water off because you don't want your beans tasting like baking soda. If you do just a little bit, it's not going to taste like it, but you want to make sure. So you drain those beans. And I'll tell you what that does a little bit later, but we'll go through the recipe really quick. After you drain your beans, you put your pot of water on and you put, for that 1 pound of beans, you put about 3 cups of water, 3 8-ounce cups of water, and you boil your beans. Okay, so usually a great pot of bean soup takes about 2 to 2.5 hours. If you get anybody's bean soup that took less than that, don't eat it. Just do not eat it because I'm scared for you.
Maybe a little crunchy.
Right, because you want your beans to be soft enough, not mushy, but you want them to be soft enough to digest properly. Okay, so boil those beans for about an hour, right, with nothing in them. You don't have to put oil or anything in them. You may have to add water as you continue to boil them. The foam will start to rise on your soup, probably within the next, probably 15 minutes within the time you started. And it will do it more because you added that baking soda the night before. And that is exactly what it's supposed to do. So you skim off that foam and you will notice in that foam that you're pulling off the hulls of the bean, which is the skin of the bean, which is responsible for the gas that people get when they eat beans. You don't need that foam. You don't need those skins on those beans, right? The nutrients are really within, it's just a protectant of the bean, right? So the nutrients are really within the bean itself. So you'll see those holes come off when you're foaming your beans, and that's a good thing. So take that off, as much of that as you can. And then you may add a little bit more water. I'd probably say maybe 1.5 cups, maybe 2 cups of water. It depends on how thick or soupy you like your bean soup. So mine is kind of in between. It's not real thick and it's not real soupy. It's really creamy. All right. So after you do that, you boil it for another, say, 30 minutes or so. After 30 minutes, then I may chop up my yellow onion, my fresh garlic, my celery. Those are the only 3 things I add to my bean soup. No carrots. I don't add tomatoes. I don't add tomato sauce. I know the messenger did, but he did that for a reason. Okay. We add those 3 in. We cook that for another 30 minutes. So some people like to saute theirs. You can saute them. It does give it a different flavor. You can saute your vegetables before you add them in. But I add everything in because I wanted to just culminate with the beans. So I add that in. And then I season it with a little garlic powder, sea salt, or pink Himalayan salt. It will give it a different flavor, but you can use pink Himalayan salt, a little dried parsley, Italian seasoning, and turmeric. Okay, not to turn it yellow, but just a little pinch to add to the beans, right? By that time, your beans are getting a little bit softer. They're getting creamier. If you wanted a little soupier, you just add a little bit more water to it. And you just taste it for salt and contact. Now, I also do add cayenne pepper to mine. Again, Creole, we add cayenne pepper to our bean soup. It's not too spicy, but we do add the cayenne pepper to the bean soup. And at that point, after about 2 hours, you'll see the cream. You'll see that it's nice and soft. And your spoon you should be able to pick it up with your spoon and it fall off easily, not thick, not too watery. And that's pretty much your bean soup there. Now at the very end, I will chop the ends of a celery stalk, which is the leaves of the stalk, and I drop them in after I turn the bean soup off. Gives it an amazing flavor. And anybody, you just found out what the secret is to my bean soup, y'all. So anybody who wants to know the secret to the bean soup, that's the secret to the bean soup. Let me tell them real quick what each of those seasonings do, because it's very important to know, again, saving lives 1 meal at a time has been given to me as a slogan for a reason. And I always think about the why behind everything I do when I cook. And so turmeric is very good for inflammation. Black people have a lot of inflammation. It's from slavery, right? And so, and it's what we eat, and so Obviously, we want to continue to keep our inflammation down because it affects everything. That's where a lot of disease starts, is with increased inflammation in the body. So turmeric is an excellent spice to add to your bean soup. Obviously, sea salt is also good, not too much, but it does have a different it's different than regular table salt, so it doesn't go into your body and usually shoot up your blood pressure like most salt does. I actually have some clients that have blood pressure issues and they have no problems with my food because I use sea salt. The sea salt, the Italian seasoning is just all the basil and the, thyme, rosemary, a little bit of rosemary, not a lot, that goes into the soup, right? Again, excellent benefits. And then the cayenne pepper is used to cleanse the blood and to cleanse the colon, right? So I know a lot of people like, oh, I don't like spicy. You don't have to make it spicy, but the cayenne pepper is absolutely good for you. And so that's pretty much the same for the lentil soup as well. The only difference is I add a little bit of tomato to the lentil soup. And I may add a little bit of chili powder and cumin because we kind of like ours, it's Houston, it's Tex-Mex here. So we like that little Tex-Mex flavor here in Houston with our lentils. So that's the only difference. And I make it pretty much the same way.
Now, I'd like to add the last and most important ingredients to her
Love.
cooking outside of love. You got to cook with music.
Oh.
It sets the energy. She can give the recipe to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And they always say it never tastes like yours.
Yes.
Because every time there's cooking, there's music being played. So the energy that is created in the kitchen while she's cooking is affecting the food. So with that being the case, I like to add that.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely right.
You got a question?
Absolutely. Oh, we have a question. Is it okay to answer the question or should I wait?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
You can answer.
Okay. So Assalamu alaikum, Sister Cynthia. She asked that, what advice would you give believers that are encountering trials on their journey in Islam? I think surrounding yourself around righteous people. They don't always have to be Muslim, to be honest with you. Just people who want to be right, want to do right, people who are inspiring to you, who are motivating, not someone who is there to bring you down or to chastise or judge everything that you do. I think that is critical in your journey in Islam. When you can be the inspiration for others by what you do in Islam, that also, I think, can help you with your trials, because when you come up against a trial, we all know that the trials purify, right? But when you have to prove yourself as a Muslim by knocking down the doors of that trial and letting those who are around you see what you're doing to get through that trial, that only makes them see that what we're doing is right and exact. Anybody who sees us go through a trial or something difficult, and we have had our share of difficulties, me personally, they see how I deal with it. Although I'm a little bit different than my husband, I'm a little bit more vocal about things. However, they still see how I manage things being a Muslim. And they just don't know how I do it. And I said, well, it's Islam. It really is not, it really truly is being a Muslim. I know that I wouldn't have been able to handle that the way that I've handled it if I did not have the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I tell them that, a lot of my friends, family, people I know that are not in the nation. And they say that, and they're like, wow, I just can't believe it. So, for me, my advice would be to surround yourself around, and I don't want to say spiritual people, because you'll find sometimes people who are not very quote unquote spiritual are the ones who inspire you, right? And so just surround yourself around people who bring you energy, who don't always take that energy away.
I would say how I look at it, and to add on what you're saying, is that trials do purify. So you're going through a purification to be a better version of yourself, to take one step closer to be one with Allah. So when a trial do come, it gives you opportunity to see how much of the studying, praying, fasting, sacrificing, it gives you the opportunity to see whether or not can you apply these teachings to see the benefit of your trial. A lot of times we walk through this world and say, well, I'm a believer. I believe in truth, and what we have is truth and good for all people. So if I'm walking with God, I shouldn't have any problems. I shouldn't have any struggles. But when you look at the children of Israel, when they was in the wilderness with Abraham went up on the mountain. He stayed a little bit too long. And when he came back off the mountain, they started worshiping another God. Now, they were delivered from their worst enemy. But because they didn't have what they want when they wanted, that instant gratification, they started worshiping something else. So your trial is a benefit to you because these teachings of the Most High Chandra Muhammad under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, we have examples. These study guides, which is the basis for community development, self-improvement study guides. You can take those and apply them to what you're going through because we must rise above emotion to the thinking of God. So first of all, when we say, well, rise above emotion, well, what kind of emotion? Majority of the time it's negative emotion. We don't dwell on the worst part of the plan, we dwell on the best part of the plan. The worst part is negative thinking about yourself and others. So a lot of time we want what we want, but we don't know the path to get to it. All we know that we don't want these struggles. So I don't know how to get to a place I've never been before, but I know what I don't want. But the lesson is in the journey. And if you look at it being a journey to understand and learn something more about yourself, then that's a benefit. Name one great person you know that has not gone through difficulty. Difficulty is ordained. And when you don't want difficulty, then you don't want to be great. When the Honorable Minister Farrakhan speaks to us, he speaks to our divine potential. We say that the black man is God and the black woman is the second self of God. That's our divine potential. We're not there yet. The question is, but what are we doing? How are we applying these teachings to our everyday life? We have to make it practical. You pray, you study, you read, you fast, you do all those things. As soon as somebody makes you upset, you got to go and give your emotions to deal with it. When we should say, well, Allah is using this person. Allah is coming into this person to help me self-improve about something that needs to be improved. So it's your perception, how you think and see what's happening to you, but it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. So you have to change your perspective. Yes, it's going to be challenging, especially when you look in the world and everybody having fun. But I look at it like this. They're committing suicide. They're just not dying right now. They just haven't died. They jumped out the building and they survived, but they don't feel good. They have a hangover. They're struggling. They're looking old, wrinkled, the poor energy. They're having problems. They got to take medicine. They're not understanding. So when you're going through your journey through Islam, your journey is to be peace. And that's to be one with Allah. But you can't get that just because you say, I'm Patrick, or I'm Sister Cynthia, so I should be there. No, we have to earn that. So it's not, it can be affliction if you don't learn from it. And if you don't learn from it, then you're going to go through it again, but it's going to come from a perspective or a point of view that you won't see. It's going to hit you when you least expect it. Our opportunity to self-improve is when we go through something unexpected. I expected one thing to happen and something else happened. So now I'm disappointed. Now I give you a chance to say, okay, I can self-improve, but now we gotta be conscious, present, and aware that this is a self-improvement moment. But then some people say, well, I don't want to self-improve. Well, do you don't want to be great? You don't want to be great. Everything that we're doing is helping us to be that. It's just like, and I close with this. It's like going bowling. When you know a person that don't know how to bowl very well, or their first time bowling, especially with children, guess what they normally do to the lanes? They put the bumpers up, which basically means it keeps you from falling into the gutter and gives you an opportunity to knock down some pins. Well, the teaching of Most Honorable Muhammad, the restricted laws and the study guides are bumpers to give us an opportunity to get it right. But a lot of times we look at it then, it's denying me who I am. Well, who are you? We were given the standard. And it's our job to live up to it. I'll close.
I hope we answered your questions.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. And Sister Cynthia is saying, teach and praise be to
Yes.
Allah. Thanks you, both. And my last question before I turn it back over to Sister Janine, I believe you all briefly answered this earlier, but it is, what has Islam done for you? And I'll start with you, Sister Chandra.
And yes, sir. I think we did answer that a little bit earlier. You know, just going back to being able to practice patience, because again, not there yet, but continue to practice patience, right? To be able to endure, to learn how to balance the things that we have to deal with in life. I think for me, those are the three sort of pillars in my life that I think when I go back to think about what Islam has done for me in a bean shell, those are the things that I think I go back to.
And for me, what Islam has done for me, I would say not done is what it's doing for me.
Mhm.
It's not over. It's not over until I close my eyes.
Mhm.
It's doing for me, it's allowing me to be. It gives me opportunity to express myself and not be ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of being a Muslim underneath the teaching of Most Honorable Muhammad. I'm not ashamed of it. It makes me who I am. I can be in any arena and not feel intimidated. I belong here. So I have the confidence and the ability, with the help of Allah, to be able to stand and say, thus says the Lord. When people come to you that's not of your faith and ask you to solve their problems, when people come to you and say, why are you so happy? When people say, man, you're doing this and you're doing that, and you say, praise be to Allah. You know what I mean? You know that you're doing it, you're not doing it by yourself. And when you see yourself that we're representing, we're being the best, we're striving to be the best version of Allah in the bodies that we have, as Brother Patrick. So we're little messengers. We're little saviors. That's our duty. That's our responsibility, is to deliver the 40 million lost found to the Lamb of God. It's to give a message and to show people, no, Islam is cool. Islam is where it's at. Islam is where it's at. If you want hell, then don't accept it. But if you want to know why it's happening, why the pandemic is happening, why the economy the way it is, why people are doing what they're doing, we have the answer. So we're not lost. We understand why. We understand the why and the purpose. And now it's up to us to strive to line up to that truth and to be an example. When they say, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, that's our knowledge. Don't hide your light underneath the bushel basket. That's the truth. But the problem is that people want to make me, well, they'll say, well, you can't eat this. I said, you're not supposed to eat it either. Oh, you can't do that. You're not supposed to do that either. Just because I'm a Muslim I mean, I can do that if I want to, but what's the benefit? You say, well, since I'm not a Muslim, I don't have to do that. I said, well, then how do you know how to live? I said, what's your instruction? If you look at these fine automobiles and these homes, got these appliances and stuff, but let's look at a Rolls Royce or a Bugatti Chiron. It comes with a manual. It's a $2-3 million vehicle. It comes with a manual. And people marvel at this vehicle. But the best vehicle that has no comparison is the human body. Where's the instruction? Where's the manual for that? And so we walk around here thinking we know what we're doing. No, you're living based on your desires. And Satan comes and feeds you your desires. And that's how he's able to turn us. But when you know the truth and you know your standard, then you have something to strive for, regardless of what people think. And you have to be able to stand regardless, because there's a benefit when we stand on truth. And this truth is invincible. Look at the Honorable Mills Farrakhan. Look what he is going through. Look at his trial. Look at his tribulation. Look at the enemy. Look how he's standing and he's boasting in the Lord. We need to take a page out of his book. If I don't fit in, I'm not supposed to be there. But I believe I'll win you over time. I'm like that drop of water on a rock, a sharp rock. It's gonna dull you after a minute. And we just gotta be patient. We can't just look for instant gratification. You gotta be patient with our development, with our growth. And when we do that, then you'll start seeing what you needed to do to be the best version of yourself.
Oh, yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Well, this was a great show. And with that, I'll turn it over to Sister Janine.
Thank you, Brother West. Let me tell y'all, if I wasn't on mute, y'all would have heard me with praise be to Allah. Listen, y'all fed up tonight. Like, this was really beautiful. Like, we see it on social media. I know Brother Donald, our host, he was like, man, they teaching us tonight. I said, praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
Now, I know we've been talking a lot about food tonight. And, before we wrap up, like, I feel like I should ask the question, because I know people are thinking it. Like, have you ever thought about bringing that food truck to Savior's Day? I mean, I've heard so much about this food that I feel like I would feel robbed if I didn't get a chance to take it.
That is an awesome idea. That probably needs to be on the schedule, huh?
No, believers have a hard time trying to find places. We looking.
Yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
what better way than just to put it
Excellent
home,
Well, there's a lot of logistics go
Yeah, I was
into
gonna say,
that.
that's
It's
what I
not
mean.
that easy, but
Just tell me if you need me to write a letter, call somebody. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, because that maybe bean burger keeps playing in my head.
Yes.
The salmon pasta, I'm
also too, we
ready
do
to
a
take
lamb burger.
We
We
have
do
lamb.
lamb tacos, fish
Tacos.
tacos, chicken tacos.
Wow.
Yeah, we're known for our poke, or the sliders are really the signature dish on it. We do a salmon, a blackened salmon, grilled salmon slider, a lamb slider, and the navy bean slider. So we call it the tray, because in Houston we have an area of town called the tray.
Oh.
And there's also an area in Louisiana called the tray in New Orleans. So we call it the tray, and everybody loves it. It's really the superstar of the menu. But yeah, it'll probably take us about 2 days to drive that truck to Chicago.
That's pulling
Pull that trailer to Chicago.
Yeah,
but
pulling now over 9,000 pounds, so it takes a minute.
Yeah,
it'll be worth it, because I guess in our closing, because I answered my questions, but I feel like we should get a date and some information on this recipe book, because you get in the routine. So sometimes, you may not, I may know, I'm trying different things. It's like you tired of eating the same thing. I would love
yes, ma'am.
that celery thing. I'm going to try that. I'm going to take it. I'm
Please.
just letting you know. Thanks for letting me know.
Yes, I'll send you the recipe. We actually typed the recipe up for the children and they put it, I think, in the books at school or something, and gave it to their parents. I mean, and we had everyone making bean soup. We had little brothers making bean soup. We had sisters making bean soup. I mean, and they had the little competition of whose soup tastes the best, the males or the females. So it was great.
Wow.
We had a great time with that. But yeah, so we'll have to figure that out in the logistics of that truck getting to Savior's Day. But that is an awesome idea. The cookbook is in the making. Inshallah, Savior's Day, we will have the cookbook.
Yes.
We're trying to sit down and write 100 recipes for this book. So between trying to cook and the truck and everything else, it's taken a little minute, but we actually not waited by choice, but it's just our slogan was not our time but God's time. That's right. That we got this food truck. That food truck was in the making 20 years.
Wow.
This food truck, and we finally got it. And we also have a seasoning called Keep It Creole seasoning. All of this within the last year and a half, you all. I mean, dreams do come true, especially when you follow the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the most honorable Louis Farrakhan, and you have these teachings. You have everything it takes to get you to where you want to go. So, definitely you have to, if you don't follow me already, Sean the Neighborhood Cook with Divine Creations Cuisine, DC Pop-Up. It's at DC Pop-Up Food Truck, at Divine Creations Cuisine. Please go on and follow me, share me. We do cooking shows. Like I said, we have just a lot going on in the way of food. We definitely are saving lives one meal at a time. With my support team, Brother Patrick and Samad Namad, could not do it without them. And we really thank you all for allowing us to come on the show today.
Praise be to Allah. Well, before I turn it over to our host who will close it out, I just have a couple of closing announcements for our audience that I want to review. We humbly invite you to tune in every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on NOI.org to hear the teachings live. Our speaker is a Student National Assistant Minister, Brother Ishmael Muhammad, or an Assistant Student Minister. Each Wednesday, Student Minister Daniel Muhammad is the host for the Time and What Must Be Done series, featuring the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan himself. And then on Fridays at 1:15 here in Baltimore, we celebrate the best of days with Jummah prayer at the Muslim Cultural Center of Baltimore, located on 3401 West North Avenue, or you can tune in live from Mosque Mariam on NOI.org to hear Brother Student National Imam Sultan Muhammad. And then later that evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can tune into Self-Improvement online at study.noi.org, where we are currently studying Study Guide 19B, The Knowledge of God. And for complete details and information on how to obtain books and lectures by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, please visit us at store.finalcall.com. You can also get a hard copy of the Final Call newspaper from one of the mighty FOI on the streets in your city, or sign up for your digital Final Call subscription on finalcalldigital.com. If you would like to join the Nation of Islam or have other questions, please visit us at NOI.org. The life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan can be heard 24/7 on the all-new Final Call radio, downloaded on all your devices, your laptops, your phone. Take it everywhere you go, especially in this world. Lastly, we are taught to put the teachings for our children in a baby bottle. So get your copy of the book by our host, Brother Donald Muhammad, I Never Knew I'm All That. It's available on Amazon.com or AuthorHouse.com. And that is it for our announcement. And I'll turn it over to our host, Brother Donald Muhammad, who will close us out. Brother Donald.
Praise be to Allah.
May I share one more thing before Brother Donald goes in? So we talked about real quick, Patrick said something about it's not fun or something. Well, Muslims like to have fun. I don't know where he's from, because I like to have fun. I'm the fun one in the group. But if you go online on either Instagram or Facebook to Mosque 45, we have our rededication ceremony next weekend. Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. Go on and support. If you can come down to Houston. Houston is the hot spot right now. We have our World Series champs here. We have a lot going on in Houston, so you guys can come down. to the rededication ceremony for Mosque 45. We would love to have you. If you want to make a donation and support, please go online to mosque45.org and support. And support Divine Creations Cuisine and keep it Creole. Get your seasoning.
Yes. Can you actually, before we go, Brother Donald, can you actually put that in the chat as well? Thank you, Brother Donald.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Sister Dean, Brother West family. Look, Brother Patrick, Sister Chandra, both of y'all got me so fired up. I don't know whether to read the Quran or go ask my wife to fire up a pot of beans.
Right. If she got 2.5 hours to spare.
Hey, you might not know this, but I was born in New Orleans.
All right.
So of course I grew up with that mighty fine gumbo, but you know they had that preacher in it. So what I need for you two to do, each one of y'all make your gumbo, minus that, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
And send it to me, and I'll tell you who's the best.
Oh, challenge? Is that a challenge?
Yeah. Don't put your names on. Just put a red label on his and a blue on yours. Or pink,
all right, that'll start off the competition, male versus female.
So you're saying you want to do a food versus, huh?
Yeah, we've done a versus before.
I want to kick it up. I mean, it's not a show.
We actually did that last year. Me and my cousin did a versus. It was great.
Praise be to Allah. But seriously speaking, as if I wasn't serious, beautiful, beautiful family. I really enjoyed that. Inshallah, next year we got to have you back. I'm with Sister Janine. Figure if you have to, when you get to Savior's Day a week ahead of time, find a local truck rental. And set that thing up, and we'll be your first customer.
Popping up in Chicago.
Right behind. Praise be to Allah. So thank you so much. I thank you, Brother West, for always doing a phenomenal job. My super duper co-host, Sister Chandra Muhammad, and I've got to thank my unseen force behind me, my best friend, my wife, Sister Cynthia Muhammad, and saving the best for last. I thank Allah for raising up the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. First, he came in person, raised up Elijah, who left us the honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan. Without those three, there would be no need and no such thing as WHIDFM. So we thank you again, family. Love you. May Allah continue to bless. And before we close, Brother West is going to give us our Muhammad moment and then close us out in prayer. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
Sir.
Then I don't care how much good food you eat. If you don't think right, then you can destroy the ability of your body to metabolize the food properly simply by the way you think. So any teacher that just corrects your outward appearance or your outward actions and doesn't go to correcting your thinking has not yet completed the job. Yes, sir. And this is why Jesus in the scriptures is so important, in that Jesus was not concerned that man would act right by the standard of the law and yet think wrong. So Jesus said, if you lust after a woman in your heart, you've already committed adultery. Yes, sir. So what Jesus was trying to get at is not just the adulterous act, because a lot of us may not do the act, but we think the thought. But what Jesus wanted us to do was to go back in your mind and start analyzing your thoughts, because that's the real you. As a man thinketh, so is he. So if we cannot correct the way we think, then we have really missed in the work of reformation and raising the consciousness of black people and making a better people, a better world. You will never make a better world until you make human beings to think on a better plane. And the thinking has to start with how you think about you. Yes, sir. Do you understand me so far?
Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. And with that, I'll close in prayer. Attention prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Rahmanirrahim. Malik Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Walaikum salam,
Salam,
sir.
family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, my people, I want you to understand and know the time. It's time that we are accepted and respected by both man and mankind. You know, the scripture says that God would choose those that are despised and rejected. And we have been that and cast aside. No one wanted us, and no one cared for us. And the worst thing about it, we never cared for ourselves.